Hey guys, in today's video, we're going to have Catherine join us for some hard enduro training. She's been working on her basic fundamentals for the last year, maybe a year and a half. And now we're starting to get into some more fine-tuned stuff, a little bit bigger obstacles that I think that she's ready to start trying. So we're going to try and take the basic skills that we've learned and start attempting some bigger obstacles. Nice thing about having a yard full of obstacles in the back at Splatmoto Ranch here is that we can take little chunks at a time. We can start small and work our way up to bigger obstacles. Yeah. So me and Sam were just sort of hitting this obstacle here and trying to see if we could go slow and carry our front wheel up and over it and use the clutch, hold pressure on the rear tire. And then Catherine saw us hitting it and we sort of encouraged her to give it a try. So she eyed it up a few times, got the courage to try it, had a few nice runs, and then by the third time maybe got a little bit too confident, had a little mishap. So it was time to analyze things and just stop and talk about it.
I'm good.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Your leg okay? Oh, that concrete.
I'm good.
Oh, that concrete's dangerous right there.
I feel like I had the heebie-jeebies before I probably shouldn't have died. I feel like I spun somewhere down there.
That concrete up there is dangerous right now too. I shouldn't have put that there, but you have to decide before you even get up there. You have to decide which way am I going to end up once I'm up there. A lot of it comes to just envisioning where you're going to end up. Looking back at the film, I can see you lifted your front end up pretty aggressively and the front wheel was already like this. That moose being so flat like that, it doesn't allow you to lean the way that you want to as much. When you're down here, you're already thinking, I'm gonna end up way over here. I don't want anything to do with that piece of concrete. So envisioning where you're gonna go. It's amazing how things can go from a little bit intimidating and scary to that wasn't so scary to now what's the next level in a matter of minutes sometimes. That's looking a lot better. Do the same thing. Try to start carrying your front wheel a little higher just for the sake of being able to do it.
Okay.
As you're getting closer to the top, don't just let the clutch out and spin, just start to slip the clutch just a little bit and that'll control your wheel spin as you're slowing down. But that was really good, all the stuff you just did. That's pretty good though, because that means you were getting really good traction right where you needed it at the top. Slightly start slipping the clutch right at the top and then you won't stall it. But that was essentially perfect, what you wanted. That was the kind of power that you wanted. What will help you right there is get your butt all the way back over the back of the bike right at that moment where your rear wheel broke loose. If you get all your weight over the rear tire, now you're gonna get the traction and it won't break loose, but you gotta combine that with the clutch work as well. Learning on a dirt bike can honestly be a rough and scary experience sometimes. Sometimes you need to take a step back if things are getting a little too dangerous. Whoa, 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 hey. Okay, you got time. Way to not panic.
Should have kept that front wheel high.
There you go, now pull that front end out, yeah. Exactly.
I didn't keep my front end high and I went that way.
You cased it.
I did.
You lifted the front end way too high right off the bat. The front end was at the top already. It never even touched the ground. It has to hit that first thing. So we were giving ourselves a specific spot to hit our front wheel each time. That's gonna let the suspension work and let the bike get all the way up to the top nicely. You could do it the way you just did it, but it was dangerous.
Yeah, it was.
Way to not panic though. So you have time, stay with the bike. And then if you absolutely have to, then bail and get away from the bike. One thing you can do, if the front end seems like you're gonna flip over backwards, sometimes you can pull the clutch in and allow the bike to roll back so that the rear wheel comes back underneath you instead of the bike flipping over backwards.
Right.
And now when you're rolling backwards, it's still, that could be sketchy.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's better just to leave the bike where it is and you jump off the back and allow the bike to stay there. You're not always gonna win, but that's one method we use.
Wow, look at that. I didn't even realize it brought it that high.
Okay, so back to the tire.
Yeah.
You know, pick it up right where we talked about.
Right.
So this is our typical day at the Splatmoto Ranch. Usually start off in the yard with more controlled obstacles, and then we'll go out onto the hill and find some spots to work on and workshop. But keep in mind, Catherine has been working on a lot of this stuff that we're talking about for a long time, a lot of the more basic components to those bigger obstacles that we were working on before she just started hitting them. And now she's getting the confidence to look at it and just know that she can do it. Then, of course, I'm there to help guide her on things that may be challenging or little problems that may arise. And realistically, at the end of the day, we're all trying to get better. We're all trying to work through our own aspects of our riding and trying to just get more comfortable and safe out there in the more hard enduro and technical situations. And speaking of safety, I have a rule that we're always supposed to check to see what's underneath our rear tire. And of course, I thought I knew in this situation and I really wasn't thorough enough and it cost me. It's just so loose and crumbly out here. You just can't trust the ground underneath you most of the time. So you can see the same thing happen to Sam here. So this is very similar to how I do my private training. Start out on the flat ground, work on the fundamentals, and then eventually we start getting out into the trails and finding problems. So it's a mixture of me having an agenda to show you certain things that I want to show you, and then also identifying issues within your own riding. But keep in mind, I'm not just going to bring you out into the hills. First, we're going to build a solid foundation of skills. Then we can begin to apply those skills out in the real situations. Perfect. Now bring the front end over my way. All right, so we're gonna try and head up the hill here. So I need to power through the transition. The transition is off camber. There are some rocks to contend with. I can't just spin like a maniac through the transition, but having some power to the ground, letting that rear wheel spin through the meat of the apex of the corner, that's gonna maintain pressure. The second that I hesitate, the second that I let off, I'm immediately gonna start, front end's gonna wash down, something's gonna walk. We need to commit. And since this stuff is so loose and there's so much junk right underneath the surface, I gotta keep the weight back. I gotta exaggerate my weight back, especially through the apex, to make sure that the rear wheel doesn't break loose. Notice how my bike really launches forward at a certain moment here. That's because I let the clutch all the way out right before my rear tire is entering the deepest part of the transition in the corner. The initiation and continuation of acceleration allows the rear end to stay planted and give you more traction. Depending on your gearing and the terrain, second gear can actually give you more traction when things are really loose, because it's just less chance of you spinning the rear tire. And you can get more top speed in second gear if you need to. And you can see I'm not accelerating that aggressively, but it's enough to kind of keep carrying me forward. Different situations will call for different amounts of power, so keep that in mind as you go and start to experiment with second gear takeoffs. There you go, leave right from there. Try to hit my same line, which means you got to aim just a couple inches higher than my line as you're going through it initially here. Want to accelerate through the transition of the corner. Keep the suspension loaded. What if we had to get up something steeper than that? You want to try to gain as much momentum through these corners as you can before you get on the spot where it's like all off camber and rocky. So just swing back around one time. So a lot better commitment from Catherine on that run, but you can tell she's still just a little bit hesitant to let that clutch all the way out. That'll get better over time. We'll work on more corners and different things to get more comfortable in that area. Simultaneously, while we were doing some training with Catherine, we were also collecting some videos for this Beta X Pro review that we did. Check that out in the upper right corner here. So for that video, I had to go up and down this hill a bunch of times, and then Catherine mentioned how, gosh, that one ledge in the middle is sort of a challenge, and it just takes all your momentum away. So we started working on that a little bit with her, and at first she was nervous and hesitant. So we gave her some tips on how to approach it and how much speed she's going to need to get up and over it. And a lot of it is just reassuring her and any student that you have the skills, and it's a lot of the stuff we've already talked about, but how do we apply it now that we're in a little bit more adverse conditions? So just like that, she's up and over it. And that's this week's video. So if you guys liked this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Go find me on Instagram at Splatmoto. And of course, if you're interested in some private training, you can send me a message or comment below, or go to splatmototraining.com. Stay tuned for next week's video where I go to Oregon and hit some gnarly creeks.